Let's take some breaks right here and learn something new. If I head over to the home of my page, right here, you discover that we have some routes, and these routes are going to be used by the administrator or the owner of this blog to be able to create posts, delete posts, create categories and all of that. But let me go ahead and log out, and I'll visit the /home route. You discover that it would redirect me to login. But if I say create new post, I see the page for creating a new post. Meanwhile, I am not logged in, I am not an administrator. So in this video right here, we're going to be learning about route groups and middleware. So let's start with route groups. What is a route group? We'll head over to our web.php file to figure this out. So there's something common about this route and this route. And what is that? Both of these routes can only be accessed by the authenticated user. So it's good practice just to put everything that has something common between them in a route group. So a route group is just like a group in real life. So put similar things together so they can have the same functionality. So how do we create a route group in Laravel? So we'll say route and we'll call the group method, and right there we'll have some parameters right there, and the next thing we're gonna have here is a closure. Okay, so this closure is gonna contain our routes. Okay, but right here, what parameters are we gonna be having? So it's gonna receive an array, and right here is where we define the similarities between these routes. Okay, the first thing I'm gonna do right here is say prefix each of these routes with admin. Okay, so prefix each of these routes that belong to this route group with admin. Okay, and these are predefined properties for route groups in Laravel. So I'll copy these two, I'll cut them, and I'll paste them right in. Okay, so let me go ahead and indent this well. Okay, so now these two belong to this group. If I go to my view and I refresh, yes, we have an error. Okay, sorry, the page you're looking for cannot be found. But right now it was just working. So what's wrong? We are prefixing all of them with /admin. Remember, all of these routes are only accessible by the administrator. So wouldn't it be cool if all the pages actually had admin? So we just prefix them. But now we can't access this again. We'll have to prefix all our routes that are accessible by the administrator by admin. And if you see right there, you discover that /admin works. Okay, so if I store this post, you discover that we don't have that page anymore because it's not going to /post store, but it's supposed to have an admin prefix. Remember, it's in the group. So let's head over to our form. And this is why it's good practice to use route names. Okay, because if in case in future you change it, you don't ever need to change the form, but in case you maybe change a prefix or something like that, you won't move from place to place in your application to change stuff like we're going to do now. So let's go ahead and change this using the route name, and remember the name of this route was post.store. So automatically this method is going to generate the link or the route, the link to that route. Okay, so if I go back now and I refresh this and I take a look at my source, you discover that this form right here has a link to this admin /post/store. So using the name of the route, we've been able to generate that link. Okay, so now it points to the correct route, but our links in our app.blade.php do not. So let's head over down there. So right here it's going to /home, which is okay because it doesn't belong to that route group, but /post/create is going to fail. So let's go ahead and put that in here. So we'll call the route method, and the route method is going to take in the name of the route, in this case post.create. And remember, the name of the routes are coming out from our web.php file as we defined with the as keyword. Okay, so let's go ahead and refresh that, and if I view page source, for the create new post button, somewhere down here you discover that it's generated the full path with /admin. Okay, so that looks great. So now we can go to our create new post page, but we can still access these pages without being authenticated. This leads us to what we call middleware. So what are middleware in Laravel? The most basic definition is to call middleware filters. Understand middleware as application filters. For example, every time the user sends a request to our server, middleware are going to intercept that request, filter it, and see if it's supposed to be doing what it's doing. Then it's going to perform a particular action. So it's going to decide, does this user actually have the permission to do what he's doing? If yes, then okay, we'll proceed with the request. But if the user doesn't have that authority, then we're just going to redirect the user back to somewhere. Okay, and the first middleware that I'm going to be introducing to you, which means the first request filters, is the authentication request filter. Okay, so how am I going to imply that? So right here, I'll put a comma and I'll say middleware, and I'll map that to authentication middleware. It means all these routes in this group are protected by this middleware. So it means before any of these routes are visited, this filter is going to appear in the way and say, hold on, does this route need to be authenticated, or does this route only accept authenticated users? Yes. Okay. Is the user authenticated? If no, redirect the user to the login page. If yes, then proceed. Tell the user to do whatever he wants to do. So now that we've added a middleware or a filter to make sure that the authenticated user is the one accessing any route in this route group, let's go ahead and check out if we can actually access this page. So if I refresh that, or we discover it works perfectly. Now we can't access that page again without being logged in. So let's log in right here. And now that we are logged in, you discover we can access this page. But if I log out and I click on the login icon and I try to access it, we can't access that page anymore. So that does it. But also, we are not supposed to be seeing our menu without being authenticated. Okay, so let's fix that. We can check and make sure that the user is authenticated before displaying the menu. Okay, so right here, what we can do is wrap all of this in an if statement. So we'll say if right here, and we'll say auth, and this auth has a check method. So this class has a check method, and this method checks if the user is authenticated, and it's gonna do something. So if the user is authenticated, it's gonna return true. If not, it's gonna return false. Okay, so in our if statement, we are saying if the user is authenticated, display this. If not, don't. So right now we are not. If I refresh, bam, it's gone. So we no longer have that field right there. But if I go ahead and log in, you discover it's displayed for us. Okay, so that's pretty much it, and it's really fun to work with. So I hope you learned a lot. Go ahead and practice this, and see you in the next video.